Hello everyone, welcome to the show. Well, I'm on location with Melody Andrews, and we're at the Shxw'ow'hamel Reserve.
Shxw'ow'hamel.
So thanks for having us back, I appreciate it. And we're in a whole new building. So when was this building finished?
In February of this year.
Okay, so what takes place in this building? What are some of the events?
All the programs and from the administration, programs and services offered, from lands to housing to social development, health.
We were here one day and they were sewing in the big room over there, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a boardroom, which is another new building for you, which you said your business takes place here,
mm-hmm.
right? And what kind of business do you do? Because you're very involved.
Mm-hmm. The council, which is head of families, they meet in here bi-weekly. And a lot of decisions are made through here. The administrator reports to the council and then work from there.
Right. Now I see we've got some beautiful artwork behind here, which is really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And are these from your local artists?
These are donated to the nation for the building, the new administration building. So, yeah, they just need to be put up.
Very nice.
And then the drums over there, you see that each drum represents each family. So that's our responsibility. And then on one of the drums is George Kelly, and that's my family.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of drums, I recently went to a healing ceremony, and the drums do something to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When they start playing the drums, it just goes right inside you.
Yeah.
It's really special, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the heartbeat of like when you're in the womb, you can hear the mother, and that's what they say the drum is, the heartbeat.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. So now, there was, for the Reconciliation Day, did you have an event here?
Reconciliation, yeah, they did hot dog roast, and all the residential school survivors were out there, and they were telling stories and sharing.
Now, what do you know about it? Were your family, your mother, or anybody in your family on the residential schools?
My mom went to residential school for about 9 years. Yeah, and my dad, he was in a public school, but he said he was pretty much treated like he was in a residential school because he was the only dark skin in the school, and then he was fighting quite often, and so.
Yeah. Do you think things have evolved for the better for First Nations people?
Not exactly, because I know that now they consult with First Nations, but they're just going through checking the boxes now with.
Oh, doesn't really mean much in a way, right?
No.
So what can we do, like somebody like me who is not First Nations? How can I make a change or help make a change?
Well, a lot of the areas that we need is informing your own people about what our people have either endured, because the beneficiaries of what non-Indigenous people have gone through is we're still going through today, because non-Indigenous people have inflicted a lot of the, like say the churches.
Yes.
And genocide and going on with our people, and it's still happening today, say with Family Child Services and like the 60s scoop and everything that's still happening. Right,
and that trauma moves forward, doesn't it, from one generation to another?
Exactly.
Yeah, when I was at that healing ceremony, the speaker, and I don't know who he was, but he was talking about how they're trying to get to the young people, your young people, you know, so that it'll be better for them, that they're not carrying this trauma forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's up to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like all people,
mm-hmm.
to make that happen, right? Because I don't know, not being an Indigenous person, I don't know how you're treated unless, by somebody who's white, unless I'm told or unless I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my friend and I were talking about that. If we see it, we have to say something and speak up, because I think that's our responsibility.
Well, it would be helpful too, because I know my daughters, they live in a city and they've been dealing with racism there, and a lot of times that we're deemed as alcoholics or stealing or whatnot, but look what happened to our people. Yeah. Our lands were stolen, our children are still being stolen, and just continuous, but to put it back on us. And I mean, there is alcohol out there. You can see all the liquor stores all across everywhere. How many in a small town of Hope?
Yes, absolutely. And why wouldn't there be? Right? Yet they fail to see some of the really positive things that, like I interviewed First Nation people who opened a driving school rather, you know. And your daughter, isn't one of your daughters in Europe?
Yeah, she is.
In university?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really awesome, you know. By the way, why did she go to Europe for your university?
She was offered the opportunity in an ECE program, and she went, but she's totally regretting it now because she feels like you can see we all got dark skin. She's got dark skin in Europe. She's pretty much, I guess, nobody talks to her. And she's the only one that stands out there. And she called me a few times crying, and it just broke my heart. Like, I just wanted to bring her home.
Yeah, for sure.
She's not feeling comfortable at all.
Wow, that's so sad. I don't understand it. I really don't understand what the difference skin tone would make. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, you know? Like, why would anybody judge another person? And I think I was talking to other people that white people go get tanned all the time. Like, you know,
they want to be our color.
Yeah. And they also want, sometimes they want some of the benefits, like, cheaper gas or whatever it is, you know, if they're smokers, cheaper cigarettes, right? You know? So it's so hypocritical. It really, really is hypocritical. And I think we have to do something to change it. Hopefully I try with my show, I try as much as possible to have the Indigenous people on to speak whatever they want to say, you know, without censorship, because I don't have that right to do that to begin with. And why would I? You know, I want you on the show to be comfortable and comfortable enough to come back a second time, which, by the way, you have, so I appreciate that. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Again, we would encourage anybody, I would encourage anybody to sit down with one-on-one with an Indigenous person and just talk to them and listen and hear their story, right? Because I think a lot of times we don't understand, and we believe what we're told or hear on the news or what the government puts out there, you know, all of this stuff. A lot of people think that, well, if you're on the reserve, you get free housing, you get free this, you get free that, but I'm learning that's not true.
Well, the misconception of what Indigenous people receive in the community, there's no understanding of what has been inflicted on our people, and like I said, the land theft that we're continuously dealing with, destruction of our territories.
Yeah.
And the development that they have, like the pipeline, for example.
I still don't understand why that was put through. I really don't, you know. I mean, I know they talked about giving people jobs, but if they spent that much money on, because I believe our Prime Minister bought the pipeline to put it through, but if they spent that much time finding alternative work for the people, you know, they'd still have a job, right?
Right.
So it's just not logical to me, some of that stuff, or some of the decision making that we don't have an input in sometimes. Even those of us who didn't want it, you know, I wouldn't have voted for it.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see things like when we're talking about any kind of an oil leak, you know, who does it affect? Every one of us.
Exactly.
And we're having enough problems as it is. Like I know right now with the drought, that a lot of salmon have died because there's no water for them to live, right? Speaking of that now, how's the drought, is it affecting you here on your reserve?
Well, I believe everything is drying up all around us because of you see massive fires happening throughout the territories because of the dryness. And then, it was just not as much rain as we used to have, and then climate change is just contributing massively to a lot of things that have been happening.
Right. Oh yeah, just recently there was a fire here, wasn't there, up here? And
just 2 kilometers up here on the mountain, there was a fire there. It started, it was only 5 hectares over by Flood Falls, and then it moved all the way this way.
Wow.
And it was just 2 kilometers away, and that's about 6 kilometers away.
Right. Well, when we were supposed to come, we had to cancel that interview. Coley, my friend Coley, was on the camera there. Hi, Coley. When we were driving up here, we could see 2 small fires. Was it 2 or 3? 3 small fires. And I don't know the area, so I don't know what hills that were, you know. And it's just like, again, you look, and if it's amazing that we haven't lost more with the fires, with the way things are going. You know, whether it's people's recklessness with, like, I don't know.
Well, I'll go back to the fact that Indigenous peoples were the original stewards of the land. They knew how to be the caretakers of the land and be able to understand, like, the seasons change and what needs to be done, to understand the surrounding plants and trees all around us, and even for salmon habitat, and all of it's just being destroyed with economic development, what they say is progress for...
Yeah. We're doing the worst job ever. I'm talking about we, meaning the white people. We're and for supposedly considering ourselves more intelligent than the rest of the creatures on this planet, we are doing the worst possible. I mean, we couldn't be doing any worse if we were planning on it, you know. And I put a post recently on that. It's like, we're so determined to destroy it. It's not like we have another planet to go to. You know, what happens? What's going to happen? And one of the things I see that the government, the plan is by 2030 or 2050, whatever. That's too late, right? You know? And Canada currently is behind whatever they put out with, what's the term I want? That they were supposed to be doing for climate change. They're behind what they decided they're going to do. So, and we should be up in arms about that. You know, we all of this. As again, you said you were stewards of the land. We're the worst stewards of the land, which is the saddest thing. You know, we can't change it anymore. Like, I mean, what's happening is for the climate, we can't make it go back to where it was. We should be able to stop moving forward with it.
Well, a lot of our people are being forced due to poverty into signing agreements for their nations to understand that a lot of our people are struggling to make ends meet with the situation that our communities do live in now. I think it's poverty, the one that's a main contributing factor to a lot of our people that are struggling, and the decisions that are made on our behalf.
Right. No, so a lot of people don't know about that poverty. So why is there poverty? Like what's causing the poverty? Like the way I read some of the things is like the government makes all these treaties with you, right? And in return, they're going, you know, you're going to get this and this and this. So is it because they're not living up to their agreements that you're in poverty? That some of your people are in poverty?
Well, it appears that we're in the way of development. So that's why a lot of our people are being shoved out of the way so they can fulfill their agenda. So a lot of the agenda revolves around economic development and stealing of our territories. So the more they can diminish our people and either get them to sign on or
But if they sign on, they should at least get the reward, the benefits of it, at the very, very least. But they're not even doing that.
Yeah, and some of the rewards and some of the benefits are not even fair for our communities.
Oh, how do you have any example of that?
I'm just going to say with the pipeline going through, I think a lot of the people had this promise of jobs. And within, like, our territory, we have first rights for any jobs within the territory. But a lot of the jobs are the bare minimum of what they want out there. And then they have these screening tests that they'll do drug and alcohol test or whatnot. And if you had it in your system, then they terminate you. But I'm just thinking with everybody that does drugs and alcohol and then to spring on something. And I was even trying to get an understanding of, like, when they do these tests, are the non-natives going through these tests as well?
Oh, exactly.
That's what I was just like. I mean, I wasn't for the pipeline, but the pipeline was going through anyway. And like being away for 12 years, they had developed an agreement with the pipeline for our people to get jobs within the territory.
Yeah, and then they're not even getting that. Oh my gosh, there's so much injustice. It's so hard. You know, it's so hard to take that all in, right? So you said you were away for 12 years from your reserve?
Not from the community. I mean, I still lived here. I just traveled all over with my ex. Yeah.
Okay.
I did workshops everywhere.
What kind of workshops did you do?
We did women's self-defense, outdoor survival, and decolonizing a colonizer.
Wow. So how did that work? How did that go over?
It went over really well. I mean, everybody was receptive to, not so many people were receptive to it because they feel like they don't want to be blamed, and they don't, like, some were very defensive in the decolonizing a colonizer workshop, but like the other ones, I'd say they were really appreciative towards the women's self-defense because it's something that's really needed throughout every territory to protect our Indigenous women, because our Indigenous women are being targeted for some unknown reason, and I believe it's racism that has to do with a lot of wanting to wipe away the woman. So I am fearful because I have four
daughters.
Girls.
Yeah, for sure. I would be too. You know, I mean, I'm a mother, so I get that, right? I'm bothered me anyway. My daughter works security at night because for some reason she likes nighttime shifts, and she goes out on her own, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, Jamie, you know. But they're adults, and you know, she's 40. How old is my daughter? 41 years old. She's going to make her own decisions. She won't let me control her life. She's so mean. But they tend to be like that. So another thing that as a friend of mine we're talking about is white privilege, and that's something a lot of white people don't like to hear, right? They don't get it, or they don't want to acknowledge it, or whatever, you know. And then of course you would understand that, right? Because just by the virtual color of my skin, I know, I can almost predict certain things I'm gonna be allowed or whatever like that. So it's quite interesting, you know. I'm not sure if I mentioned to you last time I was here. I interviewed a friend of mine, First Nations, and he said, but he would go into a restaurant. He had no idea that getting a second cup of coffee was free refill was an option until he was in there with a white person. Like just something simple like that in a way, which is not, you know, to him it's not simple, but it's like, whoa, why would they offer that when he never had one for every time he went out? It's like so amazing. So I said, we should test that out. We should go to a restaurant. And I said, not sit together, but if I see it happening, then I should be up to me to go over there and say something. How come he didn't get a second cup of coffee?
Well, yeah, there's so much racism out there. And it's not. I mean, they're not born racist.
No.
So they're growing up learning it from their parents. So they pass that on to their kids, and then their kids, and so on and so forth. So we've been dealing with it for 500 plus years.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't even know if we can ever be considered equals, because I know that there's so much. I don't know, jealousy or some sort, or
and a resistance,
misconception of what we are in this place we call Canada.
Yeah. I even hear it sometimes with my own family members, you know, who think, well, they get all this money and, you know, all this happens and they don't appreciate it. And it's like, you don't know. You don't know how things are distributed or what goes on, you know. And another thing I just found out from somebody who, what's Eugene's band? What is he with? I can't remember. But anyway, one of the my friend Diana Charlie was telling me that their young people can't stay on the reserve because they're only allowed to have so many homes there. So they have to leave the reserve and go find a place to live, you know. And it's like, white people don't know that. I mean, that surprised me because I had no idea that there was a limit to how many houses, and who decides that, right?
Well, they're only allowed limited amount of funding, and then they have to ensure, because the way they develop that is creating that dependency on, say, CMHC, because they offer funding for mortgages in a community. And then if you pay back those mortgages and have the members in the community pay rent, and if rent's not being paid, then they're not going to offer more funding for future housing until. So those arrears create a problem within our community. So if they can offer more funding, it depends on if they get paid. So they create that dependency on CMHC, just like Indian Affairs create that dependency on ISK funding.
Right. So it's almost like a vicious circle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to end it there. I really do appreciate you allowing us to come back here. And thank you, everybody. I'm with Melody Andrews, and I really appreciate speaking with you and hearing what you have to say. And just a reminder to everybody, just, if you don't know what's going on with Indigenous people, go and talk to somebody and find out. Hear what they have to say. Don't listen to the stuff that you're told. Okay, everybody? And be nice. Peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.